So curious, what is your initial take on Google+?
Well, I like Google+. In my last interview, I talked about the fact it's going to gain tremendous momentum. That's happening. Now, we have to remember this is version 1.0 of Google+. Google hasn't played their hand yet. They still have integration with Gmail. What happens when they integrate Picasa, Google Docs, and then they have Android? What happens when Google+ is integrated into Android? Now you're going to get exponential growth in the usage of it. If I was Facebook, I'd be really, really worried right now. If I was an investor, a secondary markets investor in Facebook, I would worry about how it's going to go from $100 billion to $200 billion to $400 billion. Facebook has Facebook. Google has an entire range of technologies.
Now, another point to be made is that with all the turmoil going on in the markets, Google has a giant cash hoard to fall back on. Facebook and Twitter don't necessarily have that. Could that be a huge disadvantage for them?
Well, in the short term, Twitter doesn't have any competitors. Neither does Facebook. But move forward 1 or 2 years. Google is looking in the long term, the next 5 or 10 years, because they can afford to. These other companies don't have enough momentum. They don't have revenue. They don't have what's needed to sustain in the long term like Google does. I would bet on Google if I had to.
How do you think Google Plus could affect Facebook's valuation? I know you always bring that up as being way too high.
The trouble is it's already at $100 billion. When you're at $100 billion, where are you going to go? To $500 billion, $1 trillion? Forget it. Facebook is never going to get there. Already Google is now gaining market share on Facebook. Well, you can't keep growing. Facebook can't keep growing at the rate it's been growing. It's going to start declining slightly, which means that it can't justify its valuations. Facebook should be priced at about $10 to $12 billion maybe. Not at $100 billion.
Just 10 to 12 billion.
That's a lot.
750 million users. What does that mean to you?
Users don't mean anything. It's how you convert the users into revenue that means something. Users simply mean that you have to spend more on technology and maintaining those data centers. When you convert those users to revenue, that's when the magic happens. Google has figured out how to do that.
How about Twitter? You just said Twitter doesn't really have any competitors, but some are saying that Google Plus is being used a lot like Twitter so far.
Yeah. The trouble with Twitter is it's starting at $8 billion right now. Okay. Where is it going to go? It doesn't have any significant revenue. How is it ever going to justify a $10 billion valuation? When you're private and the price so high, what are you going to do when you go public? In the public markets, you have to look forward 2 or 5 years, 10 years. How can these companies justify their growth rates in the 2 to 10 year horizon?
But obviously, you seem to like Twitter as a product. You use it a lot. I use it a lot as well. So it is very useful. Yeah. We've spoken to social media analysts like Lou Kerner, who says advertisers are following all over themselves to figure out ways to advertise on Twitter. What does that mean to you?
I'm not convinced I'm going to be using Twitter a year from now or 2 years from now. I know I will for the next year. But it could be that I switch over to Google or some other competitor. That's the way this social media world goes. It's a short-term horizon. And when you talk about multi-billion-dollar valuations, you're projecting 5 or 10 years forward. You can't extrapolate from today into 10 years with these social media companies.
How about Facebook? Will you be using that a year from now?
I don't use Facebook much as it is. I mean, it's simply I just repost some of my Twitter tweets onto Facebook. I don't use it that much. I have a lot of friends who don't use it that much. You know why? Because I'm concerned about privacy. I'm concerned about the fact that I have to listen to all this noise on Facebook. People are getting fed up of that. They complain about the same things I'm complaining about.
So you think you're going to be using Google Plus more? Is that what you're saying?
Simply because I use Google for mail. I use it for Google Docs. I have an iPhone right now, but I can see myself getting an Android in the next year or two. So if it's all integrated to the same package, the same way Microsoft used to have a monopoly, you'd use Microsoft everything. Well, Google has that advantage today. For the next 2 to 5 years, it's Google's turn to take the fire for being a monopolist.
If they execute the right way. All right, Vivek Wadhwa, thanks so much. Always great to have your provocative insights here.